it's such a big deal. Just first of all, it's such disrespect. You have one job. You have two things to do, and make weight and turn up for the fight. How you fight and how well you cut weight, and it doesn't matter.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Farid, man, it's been quite a few months, man, since your last fight, since your UFC debut. I just wanted to catch up on, what you've been up to. I know you went through Ramadan, so that was keeping you busy for a month or so. What else have you been up to?
Like you said, there was Ramadan, and then as soon as Ramadan was over, I was back in Vegas, like looking for a fight, hopefully like mid-early summer. For whatever reason, it just never quite materialized, and so I just spent the whole summer pretty much sharpening the sword, getting ready for a fight. It took a while for somebody to accept a fight. Here we are now, almost September, and yeah, I'm happy. I got an opponent now. It's on a good card. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, man. Just this whole summer was just getting ready to fight.
Over the summer, you had a few teammates fight as well, right? You probably were in there
Yeah.
helping them out.
Oh yeah, definitely. The whole summer, like I said, I've just been training. I had Amir Albazi main event, one of the fight nights against Kaikar France, and then just this whole summer was just like me, my brother Javid, Manel Kape, who's fighting on the Sydney card, and a couple of others that that I can't remember off the top of my head, but just the whole summer's just been either in somebody else's camp or getting ready for my own fight.
Were there any particular goals that you set for yourself between camps or between
No,
fights? Sorry, between fights.
in between fights, not really, to be honest. It was just the keep improving at a steady pace. My overall game. There's not one thing in particular that I think have a huge hole in my game. Like say the grappling or the wrestling or the striking. I think for me it was just learn whatever I could have done better in my last fight, learn from that, implement it in training every day, and then when I go up in my next fight, I can showcase that I have improved it.
Speaking of your last fight, your UFC debut, have you went back and dissected it, and what you
Yeah,
think of the performance?
yeah. I've gone back, watched it a bunch of times. Overall, I was very happy with my performance. I gave it. I mean, look, like you never go into a fight and you'll never go into a fight and publicly speak about the issues in camp and stuff like that. But the truth is, even in camp, I knew I was telling my brother Javid. I told him like this is not going to be the best version of myself, but it's still going to be a version that's very very good, good enough to beat the Mont Blanc chair comfortably, which I did. I beat him relatively straightforward, bar like the last 15 seconds or whatever. Reason being is like, so I had Ramadan in March, and this in like 2 weeks after the fight. So I knew I had a deadline to fight by, and I got surgery in October. So as soon as I got surgery, I said to the UFC doctors and everybody, I said, look, Ramadan is in March. I need to get a fight by then. Otherwise, I probably won't be able to fight all the way till like June, because Ramadan kind of throws you off. Um, so that being the case, I wouldn't say I rushed myself into the fight. I just made sure that the UFC doctor said, like, look, it's possible, but you'd have to be 110% in your rehab. You'd have to be disciplined, not make a wrong step. And that was the case. I did that. The physios, everybody was very happy with me. The truth is still, I only had 7 weeks before the fight, I got medically cleared to do MMA training, which is 6 weeks of training and fight week,
Yeah.
So with that being said, I knew I just had to, my main goal for that camp was to be healthy, don't injure the arm again, the one I had surgery on, and just be super fit, So I was doing a lot of running and stuff like that, but as far as sparring and grappling goes and stuff, like the whole time up until 7 weeks before the fight, I was doing pads in just southpaw, just using my right arm. I was grappling just technique. So, I mean, you can imagine. And then, I mean, I was a huge favorite in that fight, but I knew that the Mont Blanc was better than what people were giving him credit for, and his fights afterwards have shown since, I think, in my opinion, he edged Bautista. and if you give that win to him, he's knocking on top 15. Then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that win of mine aged very well, and yeah, man, like the one is very good, but let's remember I beat him very straightforwardly.
Mhm. Yeah, and you showed pretty much every aspect of your skill set, right? In that fight, you guys were all
Yeah.
over the place, wrestling, striking, jiu-jitsu. It's just like everything was shown in that fight. It was good, man. It was a good debut and something to build off of. And now you got Kleydson Rodrigues,
hmm
another young prospect, 1-1 in the UFC. What do you think of him and his fighting style?
Again, I think he's a formidable opponent. He's strong. He's explosive. He comes from a good camp in shooter box. Um, he's also coming off the contender series a couple of years ago. I think he was on the season before me, same season as my brother. I remember watching him on the contender series a couple of years ago and thinking this guy could be decent. You know, he had a good style. He did a lot of spin kicks, very strong, explosive. He obviously had issues making flyweight. You know, I don't consider him a former flyweight at all, to be honest. When you miss weight 3 times for flyweight, you know, he missed weight once and pulled out twice, like close to the fight because of weight issues. You know, you're not really a flyweight then in my eyes. So I'm not looking
Yeah.
at him as this small guy coming up. You know, I know he's going to be big in there. I know he's going to be strong. But you know, everybody's strong in the first 5 minutes. It's once you put the pace on them, once you start touching them, is then they start wilting, and you know, you see that the fight unfolds properly. Then you know.
When you got a guy that continually misses weight, right, and he goes in there and still fights, right, because of course your opponent most likely will take the extra cash and fight you, but he goes in there and knocks out these flyweights, dude. Like, how much credit can you give him for that? You know what I mean? Like, because we
That's
do
true.
give a lot of praise for just the fight and the result, but we never talk about the weight misses. You know what I mean? We never talk about that afterwards.
That's true. That's true. Nah, man. Look, like missing weight is is such a big deal. You know, like, and
Mhm.
also it depends how much you miss it by. You know, but it's such a big deal. Just first of all, it's such disrespect. You know, you have one job. You have two things to do, and make weight and turn up for the fight. How you fight and how well you cut weight, and it doesn't matter. But contractually, you have to make weight and you have to turn up for the fight. Those are two things you owe the promotion and your opponent. For you to not freaking make weight is such disrespect, because if you think about it from a logistic point of view, you're spending the extra, let's say, 2 hours cutting those last couple pounds, or 3 hours, whatever. Your opponent isn't. He just kind of chilled out. And for the most part, it's not that, okay, maybe once it could have been a legit medical issue, but if you're doing it three
Yeah.
times, it probably means you're being slack in your diet, you're being
Mhm.
slack in or you're giving up on the weight cut, you know? So it's incredibly disrespectful. And that means that gives you extra time to recover going into the fight. You know, whilst I'm depleted in the sauna, you're there drinking water, you know? So it's massively disrespectful, and it does play a big factor.
Yeah, we've heard the stories over the years, right, of fighters that miss weight, and then you hear something about they were at this place during this time when they should
Yeah.
have been cutting weight. You know,
Yeah.
there's different situations for different fighters. Let's say Rodriguez. You know, we've seen fighters go up in weight and still miss weight in
Mm.
their first fight, right? Let's say he does go up there, misses weight. Do you take the fight?
I mean, 90% chance I do take the fight, yeah. Just
Yeah.
because I believe in my abilities so much. I believe I could just smash this guy regardless.
Mhm.
Um, there's the off chance he misses by like 5 pounds, 6 pounds, like my guy in contender series did. I was supposed to fight him the first time on contender series. He missed weight
Yeah.
by 10 pounds, and I still said I wanted to fight him. It's just the commission wouldn't allow it because he
Yeah.
didn't miss weight by enough. He missed weight by too much, so the commission stepped in. So unless it's something unforeseen like that, you know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I hope. Let's hope he obviously makes weight. But regardless, man, I'm in such a state. I'm gonna destroy him regardless of whatever he comes in at.
Without a doubt. And you're going to Paris to fight. You know, training camp is in Las Vegas. You have a tremendous team around you. Is the team
Yeah.
still the same, or did you make some changes or any additions?
No, it's still the same team. I still have Dewey Cooper as the striking coach. Jake Shields, he's like my grappling MMA coach. Javid is, you know, my
Mhm.
overall MMA guy, my main teammate. Amir Albazi as well. It's just that this time around it's gonna be in Paris, so I'll only get
Mhm.
Dewey Cooper flying over, and then I have a couple guys here in London that have always helped
Mhm.
me out here in London, and they'll be cornering me too.
It must be a great experience for them to go over to Paris and help you out and corner you, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
hard to pay for. You can't pay for that shit, you know?
Yeah, these are like incredible experiences, and I even get
Yeah.
my little brother who's like 16, and I try and get him along on these experiences, and
Mhm.
I tell him like, to be honest with you, like I don't need you that much to
Mhm.
for the whole fight week and whatnot, but just for your own experience to because the UFC is like a very how would you call it, like a private organization. It's a private club.
Mhm.
Not everybody can just get in and see how the fight
Yeah.
week works and the weight cutting
Mhm.
is. A lot of majority of the fans are still ignorant to how the whole behind the scenes
Mhm.
stuff works. So I told my little brother, like, look, man, you get to travel the world, come along, see how the UFC works. So yeah, these are the experiences are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and he probably will get to meet some people that he probably never you know, ever
Exactly,
expected to meet. You know what I mean? You never know
exactly.
who shows up at these UFCs. When you look at your opponent Rodriguez, you know what I mean? There's gonna be a lot of talk about him moving from flyweight to bantamweight. And you train with both. You train with guys that fight at flyweight and bantamweight. What differences do you see when you actually start to get in there and train with them and spar with them?
Um, Differences between flyweight and bantam. So the obvious ones are going to be flyweights are generally a little bit quicker, and a little bit smaller, but smaller isn't always a negative. For example, like the Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev was a great
Yeah.
example. They're sometimes hard to hold down because of their low center of
Mhm.
gravity. They're sometimes hard to get down and hold down because of their low center of gravity, and they're really quick. They're really scrambly. And the negatives are they're weaker. For example, like as far as strength and power goes, they're weaker. Um, and size wise, you can dominate them a little bit more in that regard. But there's some flyweights out there, like I said, I train with Amir Albazi and Manel Kape,
Yeah.
probably two strongest flyweights out there. And I mean, I'm not even talking pound for pound, like straight up as far as
Yeah.
physicality contest goes. Like they probably get the edge of me. So, um, but yeah, I would say that's the main difference is probably the strength and speed factor.
Yeah, you guys got a hell of a team over there, man. Manel, I've known Manel for a long time, and how fast is he when he's in front of you, dude? Like, I don't know. Is there someone faster than him? Do you feel like he could be the
Um,
fastest?
I
Cody
mean,
Garbrandt, right?
yeah, pound for pound, like up there, like Cody Garbrandt, Manel, those guys are like the fastest guys I see. There's different types of speed, Like look, Manel is because Manel is shorter and he's more explosive. His his footwork is also quick. His head movement is quick. But then you have somebody like Javid, who's very tall and very long, and his speed comes in a different way. It's very like lineal, if you know what I mean. Manel is very dynamically fast. Same with Cody. He's very explosive. He's got, like, for example, Javid has longer arms than Cody, so Cody moves his arms quicker. He's got quicker hand speed, but Javid has a very good lineal speed. So, and I think his length helps him with that. You know, but Manel, yeah, man, Manel's speed and it's not just his speed. It's his trickery. It's his skill set is through the roof. He's very very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, you're gifted. He's gifted. Your team is extremely gifted. Um, for sparring though, I know you spar with your brother a lot, but who are the other ones? Was Manel the one in there a lot with you, or who else
Yeah,
was
this camp. So my brother was in there with me as always. I did a lot of work with Manel because we were both fighting, within 1 week of each other. That was some crazy pay-per-view stuff, man. With Manel was like, it was very like those days when I had to spar him because not everybody wants to spar Manel, and not everybody wants to spar me. We're tough rounds. And for him, I had to really get into the mindset, like, let's go, man, on your A game. Because if you don't, he's one of those guys that can hurt you in sparring, even with the big gloves. He's got that kind of skill and power. But yeah, Manel, Amir Albazi, as always, he's always helping me. That's my main guy for like the last freaking 10 years. A bunch of other guys, just a bunch of other guys who are always around, always helpful. Too many to name off the top of my head.
Of course, of course, man. Campus. months. Months you spend in there just focused on one guy. And what do you see in yourself, man? What do you see in your second fight? You do carry the undefeated record as well. What can we expect out of you? What can Paris expect?
What can I expect? To be honest, they can definitely my best performance today. I feel. I mean, this camp has been incredible. I feel very healthy. Mindset is great going into this. I've come out to London to acclimate. I feel like I'm definitely gonna get a finish. I'll be very surprised. I'll be very, very, very surprised if I don't finish this guy. And that's no knock on him. It's just that's how much I believe in myself. And honestly, I feel going forward like I'm in a real good place. I've just turned 26, so I'm coming into my own. Figuring out my style fully. The experience is coming along, and the division is wide open now with O'Malley as champion. And I feel like, yeah, I'm just gonna stack up these great performances. And this Saturday, I think I'm gonna be it on the feet or on the ground. I think I'm gonna get a finish.
For yourself, like in 2 years, a lot can happen. Like you said, O'Malley's the
Mm,
champ now. When you have
mm,
a champ like that, then matchups can get kind of weird, right? Like we don't
right.
know. We don't know what they're gonna give him. Where do you see yourself in 2 years, man? Because it seems like you're a guy that's about your career and you kind of
Mm.
understand like where you want to be.
I think within 2 years I'll be around the top of the division for sure. If not number one, number two, number three, number four, around there, fighting the best guys and fighting for the belt. I think
Mhm.
what is it? I mean, it never goes as planned, obviously, but get one more this year. I'd like to fight in December, if not December, whatever, January. Um, by the end of 2025, I think I'll have, yeah, definitely within that top five, if not number one. That's how I see it, to be honest.
There you go. And when you have no losses, right? People are always going
Mhm.
to talk about that. But I've talked to many fighters that were undefeated or are still undefeated, and some of them they have different approaches to that, right? Some of them think like, man, it's eventually going to happen. This is MMA, so I don't even think about it. What's your approach to your record?
My approach, it used to be very, in my earlier pro fights, like maybe up to like 4, 5, 6, and I used to think, don't lose, no matter what. Keep the O. Keep. I used to really think about it, and it used to sometimes overshadow my performances or my mindset, if you will. But I've learned just take it one fight at a time. If it look, there's very few people who have ever been remained undefeated. At the top, you have Habib, you have Floyd. If it happens, it happens. Whatever is gonna happen, it's not gonna stop me from getting to the top. So that's the way I think of
Yeah.
it now. Is like no matter what, I'm gonna try my 110% to remain undefeated. I go into every single fight trying to win. But if it were to happen, it's a crazy sport. Nobody's
Mhm.
perfect. Um, I'm just gonna let it, learn from it and allow it to,
Mhm.
to make me the best. Learn from the mistake and the loss or whatever, and just let it push me and guide me to the top. A loss doesn't define you. It's how you rebound.
Yeah. A lot of the fighters that are coming up in kind of like your generation, they're a little bit more mature. I've been interviewing fighters for the past like 8, 9 years or so right now. So I've talked to guys 9 years ago, right? They were kind of like in the middle of their career. They don't even fight anymore. And I'm talking to someone like you who's starting your UFC career with a bright future, man. But talking to you and comparing them, the generation coming up now, their mind is a little, I don't, let's say more advanced, I guess, about their
Mhm.
career
Nope.
than the guys that were in the past, man. It's good to see, man. It's great to
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah. I guess it makes sense if you look at it in progression ways. Like the sport is so young.
Hmm.
Back then, it was only what 20, 25 years old. Now it's like
Yeah,
35 years old. It's still very young.
yeah.
This sport is still very young, and so we've learned from their mistakes, I guess. Now that there's more, it's become more mainstream now.
Mhm.
There is more money. It's a bigger platform with the social media and everything. So I guess in that regard, we've learned from their mistakes,
Mhm.
and learned from what they did well too. So I guess in that regard, and the future generation will most likely be more wise to the business side and to the career side of things than we are. 10 years from now, you're going to be hearing people talk about, um, you know, they're going to be talking more about career routes, and I want to take
Mhm.
this route and that route, and I want to do this with endorsements and that with endorsements, because they'll have the ability to do it, as the sport push gets more advanced.
Yeah, I hope sooner than later, man. I hope sooner than later all of this stuff happens. Big sponsors, big money for all the fighters, man. Anyway, September 2nd, UFC Fight Night in Paris. Farid, thank you so much, man, for the time and all the best in the fight coming up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.